Hey Fuzzbutts! Silverpaw Reads here bringing you Chapter 6 of The Storm Within. It had barely been 20 minutes before Fox awoke to a peculiar noise. The Vulpine blinked twice in drowsy confusion before he remembered where he was. The open cabinets along the walls of the medbay greeted him as he stretched his aching body, careful not to aggravate his injuries. He was midway through a yawn when he heard the noise again, a strange mixture of crinkling and rattling behind him. He turned in his chair and gasped, quickly reminded of the situation at hand. Wolf was stirring in bed, the plastic sheets squeaking and the metal frame creaking against every movement of his body. Now startled, fully awake, Fox fumbled for his comm and held it to his mouth as he addressed the team. "Everybody, come quick! Wolf's about to wake up!" Slippy's slurred speech crunched to the device in reply. "What? Oh! We'll be right down there, Fox," Crystal chimed in. "You tied him down, right?" "Yeah?" The Vulpine watched Wolf struggle against the leather straps around his wrists and ankles as he gained consciousness. "Okay, I'll see you guys soon. Fox out." He disabled the comm and continued to watch Wolf from a distance. The lupine tried to open his eye, a momentary flash of deep and striking violet, and was assaulted by the blinding light of the ceiling. He promptly shut it again with a growl as he tugged his wrists against the leather straps. Through his clear oxygen mask, Fox could see Wolf's teeth bared again, no doubt in alarmed hostility. His nemesis said something, but the mask muffled his voice. Fox hesitated for a moment as the lupine tried to speak again. Should I take his mask off? It had been hard enough for Fox to approach Wolf in an unconscious state, but now that his nemesis was awake, he was finding it near impossible to handle the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The lupine gritted his teeth and attempted to open his eyes once more, this time more cautiously. Squinting, he surveyed the room around him. His focus found its way to the fluorescent lighting shining hotly above him, then towards the blue-gray ceiling and eventually on the Fox himself. They both froze. The most skilled mercenary Fox had ever fought was staring him down as a predator would its prey. The moment Fox spent looking into his eyes of his nemesis, seeing the wild hostility, the seething ferocity swirling beneath his violet iris, was perhaps one of the most terrifying moments of the Vulpine's life. The door to the medbay opened with a resounding shwoom and the rest of the team filtered in. Wolf's focus swiftly turned to the newcomers, darting between the unfamiliar faces as they surrounded his table. Slippy gasped quietly, and the room was filled with an intense silence, punctuated solely by the beeps and clicks of the medical equipment and by Fox's heart pounding in his head. The team took a moment to let it sink in that they were standing face to face with their career-long adversary. Eventually, Peppy cleared his throat and broke the silence. "Mr. O'Donnell, you've woken up." Wolf eyed him, but said nothing as the rabbit continued. "I bet you're wondering where you are right now." His voice was unsettlingly cold and distant. "You're aboard Star Fox's mothership, the Great Fox, after being shot down on Ficina yesterday. You were in dire condition, and we retrieved you from the surface." Peppy eyed Wolf's injuries again. "You probably still are." The lupine's expression hardened somewhat. "As a result of your antagonistic behavior towards our team, it has been decided that Team Star Fox will keep you on board as a prisoner of war." Prisoner? Fox looked towards Crystal for confirmation, but her attention was entirely focused on Wolf. She stared intently at the lupine on the bed with an expression of confusion, bafflement, disbelief. "If you show any signs of aggression towards us," Peppy continued, "then we will have no choice but to deposit you where we feel fit. Whether that be on Corneria, where you'll face the law, or in the depths of the Sargasso region, where you'll face the endless vacuum of space. That depends on how you behave on board." The lupine's focus moved again between the expressions surrounding him. Hatred, disbelief, wide-eyed amazement, stone-cold stoicism. He finally ended up focusing on Fox's guarded anxiety. Peppy kept his eyes on the lupine as he continued. "In the meantime, you are under our control and will do as we command. Crystal, is it safe to take his mask off?" She was shaken out of her hypnosis, blinking confusedly as she stammered. His vital signs have significantly improved since we first got him on board. I think he should be safe without his mask." Upon Crystal's word, Peppy approached the lupine and reached out to remove his mask. Wolf lifted his head slightly as the strap was loosened and the oxygen mask slid off his muzzle. He paused to take a few breaths of sorely missed fresh air. "Mr. O'Donnell, do you have any objections to the conditions we've established here?" Wolf cleared his throat, took a deep breath, and spoke. "There's no need for feigned civility here." He coughed a few times, continuing in his raspy, damaged voice as soon as he'd regained control of his lungs. "It's not like I've got a choice in the matter." Peppy's eyes narrowed. "I'll consider that a no." He stood up. "You'll be staying here in the med bay for the time being. We'll check on you periodically over the next few days as you recover from your injuries." He turned towards the door, beckoning to Falco and Slippy. "I think our work here is done for now." The three began to make their way back through the doorway one by one. Before leaving, Falco turned and addressed the lupine fiercely. "Don't try anything, pal. If you lay a finger on any of us, you're going out the door." Wolf bared his teeth but said nothing as the three exited. Crystal now spoke up, not a trace of emotion in her voice or on her face. "I'll be your caretaker until your condition improves." She spoke more gently than the others, but firmly nonetheless. "Let me know if you need anything." Wolf studied her silently, perhaps trying to read her stoic expression, then gave up and nodded. She turned to Fox. "I'm going to head back to bed. Do you have everything under control?" Fox hesitated before nodding. "I think so, yeah." The truth was, Fox had no idea how to feel. A cacophony of conflicting emotions assaulted his mind, and he had no idea which ones to listen to. Crystal gave him a knowing look before grabbing his hand. "Just call me if you need anything. Good night, Fox." And without another word, she left the medbay. Fox turned his focus onto his nemesis only to find a violet eye already fixed back on him. It blinked once. The only noises now were the whirs and clicks of the medical equipment and the steady beat of the heart monitor. Alone with the lupine again, Fox took the opportunity to assess the situation at hand. "Alright, it's just us now. What should I do?" He pondered the question, unable to break eye contact with Wolf. "Should I say something? I suppose I owe him a formal So, it's all your fault then?" Fox nearly jumped at the lupine's raspy voice as it cut through the tense silence. "My fault?" "That I'm here," he coughed once. "That y'all are stuck with me." "Yes," Fox's eyes narrowed. "Yeah, it is." His nemesis smirked. "You sure don't sound pleased about it." "Yeah, well, maybe I didn't expect that pilot down there to be my career-long nemesis, so excuse me for not being so cheerful." Was Wolf taunting him? The lupine raised an eyebrow. "Chill, McCloud. You think you've got it bad? At least you can walk." He looked Fox up and down. "At least you're not a... what did he call me? Oh, right. Prisoner of war? How rude." "You're acting awfully ungrateful for someone who was just rescued." Fox's voice was stern as he continued. "Don't forget that you would have frozen to death if we hadn't come down there and saved your ass." Wolf's expression hardened. "Stop pretending like you're some kind of hero. I never asked for your help. If you just kept your nose out of my business and left me alone in the first place, then you would have been just continued to terrorize that poor base on Ficina like the monster you are." Fox clenched his hands into fists in an attempt to stop them from shaking. "Uh-huh." Wolf was regaining his voice with continued use, and now he spoke in a smoother, clearer tone. "I guess it's easier for the oh-so-holy Captain McCloud to label his rivals as monsters than it is for him to take half a moment to understand them. I'm done talking to you." Fox was still aching and tired. He didn't deserve to add any stress by arguing with Wolf. He turned to leave when the Vulpine fired a retort. "Oh, sure. Just insult my very existence, then run away before I get a chance to state my case." Fox stood in the doorway, ready to leave. "I expected nothing more from an entitled celebrity like you." He wheeled back towards Wolf, teeth bared. He hated it when his celebrity status was brought up, but he never before had it been used to berate him. "I saved your fucking life! Is that something an entitled celebrity would do? I can't say whatever the hell I want!" Fox could barely process the current situation. It was downright surreal to have his nemesis here in front of him, insulting him in person rather than over the comm in his R-Wing, and it was nerve-wracking. "You wouldn't have saved my life if I hadn't interfered. Yeah, I heard you the first time." Fox's eyes flickered as he thought of the response that's sure to anger Wolf. "Then again," he lowered his voice, "we wouldn't have had to save you if you could have outmaneuvered us. Maybe you needed a little more practice so you didn't wreck that pitiful ship of yours, huh?" He smirked, knowing his jab would cut Wolf deep. Wolf lay silent on the bed for a long time, eyeing Fox with an unreadable expression across his face. After a tense minute, he spoke in a low voice. "McCloud, I don't know your life. I know next to nothing about the experience you've had as a mercenary. He coughed. But I know one thing about you. Fox examined his nails nonchalantly, still smirking. Mm-hmm. And what would that be? You've never lost a ship before. Wolf's voice remained ominously soft. Oh, why yes, that is indeed correct. Congratulations on your fine detective work. The Vulpine continued to feign disinterest. Wolf lowered his voice once more. If you knew what it felt like, you'd certainly know not to taunt others about it. I expected you to be insufferable, but I didn't expect cruelty. Fox was thrown off by the Lupine's words. There was no edge to his voice, no sarcasm, no discernible emotion, and it gave Fox chills. You're just saying that to... Why would I just say that, McLeod? Fox raised his voice suddenly. It's true and you know it. Of every single mercenary I've ever met, friend or foe, you're the only one who has ever ridiculed another for losing a ship to you. You're the only one I've met who's been despicable enough not only to capture an adversary against their will, but to subject them to such unapologetic cruelty as well. That's a load of You should leave, Fox growled, teeth bared. You should leave right now. Fox's fur stood on end, adrenaline coursing through his veins. I'll leave whenever I want, he growled. What the hell do you want from me? Fox's composure had cracked. You've already told me how much I screwed up. You've made your point. You're the one who started berating me for being an entitled celebrity. You know nothing about me. And you know nothing about me, McLeod. Well, I don't think I need to know anything more. Then get the hell out of here already, Wolf hissed. Fox turned, ready to leave, then stopped in the doorway for a moment. I know nothing about him, huh? Fox knew for sure about Wolf was that he was nothing short of a lunatic. However, the statement sparked curiosity within Fox. How the Lupine had learned that corkscrew maneuver, or why he was on Ficina, or if he was still working with Starwolf. There were still mysteries to the Vulpine. Perhaps this was his chance to get some answers out of his adversary. After much deliberation, Fox turned back to face Wolf. Okay, fine. He edged closer to his nemesis on the bed. Apparently you've got some magic words that you think will change my mind about you. He leaned his hand onto the bed in an attempt to intimidate the Lupine. What the hell could you possibly say right now that would convince me that you're anything more than a heartless criminal? Wolf eyed him for a tense minute, an eyebrow raised. He took a deep breath as if to speak, but instead began to laugh. What's so funny, huh? Fox raised an eyebrow angrily. Come on, spit it out. What? You think I'd tell you my magic words now? Wolf laughed one last time and sighed tiredly. After what you've subjected me to, you're clearly not ready to be convinced of anything right now. Fox would have punched the cheeky grin off Wolf's face right then and there if he didn't fear his fist being bitten off in the process. You're a goddamn lunatic, Wolf. At least I'm not cruel to my guests. You're gonna be kicked off this damn ship if you don't start talking. Wolf's eye narrowed. You ain't getting shit from me with that attitude, McLeod. Oh, yeah? Fox smirked maliciously. We'll see about that. Crystal could lead an interrogation as soon as she woke up. Even if his lips were sealed, Wolf's mind was no match for a psychic. As soon as you decide to stop being such an insufferable asshole, I'll tell you my side of the story. Judging by this interaction, you've got a long ways to go before that happens. He looked down at the straps around his hands and feet. And you've got to untie me too. Deal? Go to hell, Wolf. Vulpine turned and stormed out of the room with a huff. He couldn't deal with his nemesis for a second longer. Finally, Wolf muttered, making himself more comfortable on the bed. Ugh. Fox stomped down the hallway, the cool metal against his bare feet doing little to calm his temper. He couldn't believe how insufferable Wolf was. The way he'd spoken to Fox, to the one who'd rescued him, was downright disrespectful. He clearly wasn't grateful for the second chance at life, and probably would never be. The Vulpine stormed into his living quarters, angrily ripping off his medical gown in place of a more comfortable attire. He grimaced as he slid a t-shirt over the stitches on his back, slipped into a pair of sweatpants, and turned the lights off. He got into bed carefully, wincing with every movement, cursing himself for sacrificing his own health for something so ungrateful, so undeserving. He even considered getting rid of Wolf right then and there. He was comforted by the image marching into the medbay and wheeling the ungrateful bastard off into the abyss of space without a further thought. No, don't sink to his level. He had to show his nemesis that he was the better of the two, And, besides, getting rid of him now would be exactly what Wolf would want. Lupine couldn't be given that satisfaction just yet. Fox decided he would get Crystal to help carry out an interrogation in the morning and make his final decision from there. He pulled the covers over his head, groaning, "Why me?" He always had to play the hero, always had to put himself in harm's way to save someone else, even when that someone else was... He groaned again. "Why him?" It could have been anybody else, maybe some petty kid who simply was misguided and needed to be rescued to see the light. Maybe some rogue mercenary who could have joined Star Fox and benefited the team with their impressive piloting skills. Instead, it was this insufferable piece of crap whom Fox had hated for as long as he could remember. "Don't worry about that, you'll interrogate him in the morning." He liked the idea of putting the bastard in his place, seeing his look of surprise when Crystal broadcast his thoughts to the rest of his team against his will. If he was going to be stubborn and refuse to comply, it was the only way to get the information they wanted. The Vulpine yawned, his eyelids suddenly heavy. He eventually succumbed to an uneasy sleep, thoughts of Wolf lingering in his unconscious mind.